internet is on fire and fans can't believe what they're hearing. Rumors are flying like wildfire, and at the heart of it all is a bombshell revelation that has startled the whole love and hip-hop world. Mena, for her fiery personality and no-holds-barred attitude, has suddenly delivered a bombshell that no one expected coming. She's pregnant, and she's apparently alleging that Harris may be the father. While Mendeecees is still very much behind Yandy Smith, Erica's strong declaration has sent shockwaves across the fan base. How did this happen? When did it happen? And most importantly, is there any truth to it? Sources close to the incident reported that things began spiraling following a recent love and hip-hop shoot where Erica and Mendeecees were caught having multiple off-camera discussions. Yandy was apparently unaware of anything going on till today. Emotions are running high, allegations are flying, and fans are demanding answers. Is this simply another attention-grabbing gimmick, or is there more to the story than anybody expected? Stay with us because what occurs next will leave you dumbfounded. The morning following Erica's post, the city was buzzing with rumor. News sites, fan pages, and podcasts were all focused on the developing controversy. One blogger claimed to have spotted Erica leave a clinic with what seemed to be the papers tucked into her handbag. Another said they overheard her on the phone stating, "I already know what the findings are, but whether these reports were genuine or not didn't matter." They poured additional gasoline to the pandemonium, are riveted to their screens hoping for some type of proof. Then came the leak that would shock everything to its core. A digital copy of what looked to be a prenatal notice started circulating. Online, it had two names blocked out, the putative father and mother, but the paperwork appeared real. The findings were obvious with a 99.8% confidence. The internet lost its head. Some said the test was Photoshop. Others convinced it was the smoking gun. The drama reached an all-time high as Erica stayed mute. Her fans swarmed her remarks, demanding replies. Is it true? Why aren't you saying anything? This changes everything. Yet she hasn't responded to a single message. Mendeecees was seen leaving a restaurant in Atlanta with his manager. When questioned about the dinner outcomes, he merely shook his head and murmured, "No comment." But his face suggested a different story. Tired, worried, and plainly under strain, fans started reading into every minute element: his body language, the way he avoided eye contact, even the way he tightened his jaw. It all hinted at guilt. The silence. Yandy, on the other hand, was disintegrating behind the scenes. Insiders close to her stated she had only been sobbing for days. Eating and refusing to leave her house. Friends attempted to comfort her, but she wasn't speaking to anybody. According to one source, she said confidently, "I don't know what's worse, the betrayal or Yandy has always seemed to admirers as the strong-willed. Now, watching her devastated like this was painful." Supporters filled her page with love and support, but even that couldn't protect her from the storm. Then came the most surprising, unexpected. Erica decided to sit down for an exclusive interview with a prominent podcast. The teaser video went viral before the whole episode even debuted. Erica sat in a poorly lit room wearing a sweatshirt and scarcely any makeup. Her voice shook as she continued, "I didn't want it to come to this, but I will not be silenced." When the show eventually aired, viewers hung on every word Erica said. Disclosed that she and Mendeecees had become close during a tough stretch in his marriage. She said it began innocently, with only discussions, venting, and connecting over stress, but gradually things crossed the line. "I'm not proud of it," she said, brushing away a tear. "I knew it was wrong when it occurred, and I never intended to become pregnant. I had an option: lie to everyone or confront the truth, and I chose the truth." The audience grew quiet. Even the host appeared taken off guard. Erica continued, saying that she had reached out to Mendeecees privately, intending to settle things gently, but when he began ignoring her messages and behaving as if nothing had occurred, she felt obligated to come up. "I kept expecting he'd do the right thing," she said, "but instead he attempted to make me feel like I was crazy, as if I dreamed it all. That's when I decided I had to defend my kid, even if it cost burning bridges." The statement sent shockwaves throughout the internet. Fans were astonished. Many commended her boldness. Others questioned the timing and intentions. Shock, this wasn't just tabloid hearsay anymore. This was a genuine, honest confession, and it couldn't be ignored. The fallout was quick. Menks wrote a lengthy text-only note on his account. He did not explicitly confirm or deny anything, but wrote, "People will claim anything when they feel wounded. I've made errors, but I've never turned my back on my obligations. My quiet wasn't guilt, it was protection for my family." The tweet just prompted additional questions. What errors was he alluding to? Was he confessing to something? Fans studied every phrase, seeking to understand the truth. But nothing was obvious. That same night, Yandy went live. Her face was pale, her energy low, but her voice was firm. "I know you all want answers," she started. "But honestly, I don't have them. I've been blindsided like the rest of you." She stopped and took a long breath. "I love my husband, I believe in our family, and I'm just trying to find out what's genuine." Fans flooded the chat with messages of support. Yandy continued, "If this kid is his, we'll deal with it, but I won't let me." I meet a few hours later, another video appeared, this time including Mendeecees and Erica. At a behind-the-scenes scene from a previous shot, they were laughing, standing near and appearing far too comfortable. Fans who had disregarded the possibility of them having a relationship now had second thoughts. Look at their body language. One TikTok user said, "You can't imitate that kind of tension." The tape was dated only a few months before Erica announced her pregnancy. Altered everything just when many thought things couldn't get messier. A lady claiming to be Menk's ex from years ago joined the discussion. She released a mysterious video on TikTok stating history repeats. She did not identify anybody, but everyone felt she was talking to Mendeecees. The comment section erupted with hypotheses. Some admirers even hypothesized that Erica wasn't the first to confront this type of scenario with him. The narrative started to alter. Was Menks concealing more than just one secret? Erica, witnessing the drama develop, wrote another note, a snapshot of a crib being made with the phrase "getting ready." Regardless of who steps up, it was a direct strike at Mendeecees. The inference was plain. She wasn't going to wait around for him to assume responsibility. Fans aboard her fortitude, while others questioned her techniques. But one thing was certain, she wasn't backing down. As the drama thickened, producers at VIL1 saw a chance. Rumors began circulating that an emergency tape was set with all three parties. Sources indicated they intended to shoot a sit-down with Erica. Mendeecees and Yandy insiders stated that Erica accepted instantly. Menks was reluctant, and Yandy, she resisted at first, but after some negotiating, she allegedly agreed on one. Fans couldn't believe it. The prospect of all three being in the same room facing the truth on television was nearly too much to bear. The countdown, the conflict had started, and the internet was preparing for impact. As the recording neared, emotions were running high, and Erica uploaded another narrative. This time, a prenatal photo with voice note playing over it. It was a baby's heartbeat. "Every beat reminds me why I'm speaking up." She wrote. The message struck home. Fans were now emotionally involved, whether they backed Erica Yandy or not. All they wanted was one thing, the truth. It seemed like the truth was finally on its way, whether anybody was ready for it or not. The day of the sit-down tape finally arrived. The anxiety was so thick, it could have been cut with a knife. The stage was darkly illuminated with just enough illumination to catch the looks on everyone's faces. Cameras were rolling, producers were on edge, and the atmosphere backstage was like a pressure cooker about to erupt. Erica entered first, dressed in a basic black costume, her belly showing only enough to remind everyone what this was all about. She seemed cool on the surface, but everybody paying close attention could notice the way her hands shook slightly as she gripped her phone. Mendeecees arrived 10 minutes later, appearing more worried than anybody had ever seen him. He kept checking his watch, pacing and massaging his forehead. The producers attempted to persuade him to relax, but he wasn't having it. He didn't sign up for this circus, he murmured under his breath, but he made no attempt to leave, knowing that walking out would only make matters worse. Then the last to come, Yandy, she didn't talk to anybody. She strode in chin high, eyes icy, dressed all white like she was attending a funeral. And maybe in a sense she was grieving the relationship. Erica sat on the left, Yandy on the right, and Mendy could look straight into there was no moderator, just 3 seats and the awful weight of unsolved tension. Silence dominated the room until eventually Erica broke it. Are we doing this or not? Her voice was stern, yet her eyes showed her fragility. Men's cleared his throat. I don't even to dispute. I'm here because my kid deserves to know who their father is, and the world needs to know what sort of BC. Shook his head slowly, trying to keep his voice steady. I never said the baby wasn't mine. I said the situation is messy, and it is you. Went public before we even had a chance to deal with this privately. Erica cut in sharply. No, you ignored me. I tried to reach out and keep it between us. You ghosted me like I was some groupie, so Yandy crossed her arms and drove this all over social media. That's what you had to do. Erica turned to her, her voice softer. Now, I didn't mean to harm you. I really didn't. I know how this appears, but consider yourself in my shoes. I'm pregnant, I'm afraid, and the guy who could be Yandy's eyes welled up with tears, but she quickly wiped them away. I've been in worse shoes, and believe me, treachery doesn't come with a guidebook. With all of this circus, you made a decision. 2 Mendeecees finally voiced his voice tight. I made errors. I'm pleased of them, but I didn't ask for all this noise. I wanted time to figure things out before it turned into a reality show. Erica laughed bitterly. You're a reality star. Mendeecees, your entire life is a show. That remark hurt, and for a minute the room was quiet. Yandy nearly muttered to herself, was it ever real? Mendeecees. Her eyes softened as she said, what we had was genuine. I'm not sure what this is. The producers watching from the monitor knew they had found gold. The raw passion, anger, and sadness were all unfolding in real time, and the cameras were capturing every second. Fans viewing the leaked preview, everyone had selected a side, and the internet was blazing with debates. Team Yandy vs Team Erica, and Men's, he was being dragged by both sides. Nobody was letting as the conversation progressed. Erica took out a little folder from her backpack. These are the official mails, she remarked, giving them over. Minx paused before taking the papers and started to read. The stillness extended for what seemed like minutes until he closed the folder and glanced up. It's mine, he replied simply. Yandy closed her eyes and exhaled forcefully. Erica, she didn't flinch, knowing the truth. The room felt like it had shattered in two. So what happens now? Erica inquired. Are you still intending to disappear? Mendeecees rubbed his temples. I'm not going away. I'll accept responsibility, but this changes everything. Yandy rose up and paced slightly. Damn sure it does. You had one. To be honest, you couldn't even accomplish that. I've held you down through prison drama, everything, and this is how you reward me. Her voice broke. Finally, a tear spilled down her face. I was fighting for us while you were sneaking about. Erica glanced away. Yandy, in her moment, murmured gently, I'm not asking you to forgive me. Blaming me for the decisions he made. Minx stood there wanting to say, but the words. Yandy turned to him, shaking her head, and said, I'm done talking. I need to spend time with you two when you finish fighting. She went off stage, leaving behind an unnerving quiet. The producers contacted. Yammy's automobile was outside the studio, but the harm had already been done. Surrounded by reporters, she kept her head down, but one reporter was able to, Are you leaving him? She didn't respond. She didn't have to, was louder than any remark. Inside, Erica sat alone on her chair, staring at the empty place where Yandy had stood. Mena finally said, This isn't. Erica glanced at him tiredly, but it's what you created. The program aired. Just 2 days later, the reaction was enormous. Millions of people tuned in, and the comments section was a war. Fans were devastated, enraged, and astonished, applauded Erica for her courage. Some blasted her for going public. Yandy received an outpouring of affection and support. One displayed men's with the phrase, can't spell VCs without mess. Another featured Yandy in a crown with the phrase, unbothered royalty. It wasn't only online comments, endorsements were being removed. brand partnerships were placed on hold, and insiders indicated that Veil One was contemplating re-editing subsequent episodes to reflect the impact from the controversy took on a life of its own. In the days that followed, Erica uploaded additional Yandy. In the meanwhile, moved on to silent no postings, no articles, just silence. Fans worried if she had relocated, outfiled for separation, or was simply trying to heal. Mendeecees wrote a cryptic. He posted a video of himself in church with the comment, trying to find peace. But no, wanted her kid to be recognized. Her emotions were running high, and no apparent conclusion in sight. The Globe continued to watch and wait for what would happen next. And just as everyone thought things were beginning to calm down, another bombshell broke. Someone claiming to be Erica's cousin went live on Instagram, sharing images of past communications, reportedly. Between Mims and Erica, he is seen complimenting her lovely and telling her he can't stop thinking about that night, even stating, "I wish things were different." Whether the screenshots, it made no difference whether it was genuine or not. The harm had already been done. Fans had already made up. As the dust settled following the interview, followed by a test, during the intense encounter, one thing became brutally clear: nothing would ever be the same again. The baby was not even before birth. The world has already chosen sides, drawn battle lines, and converted a private controversy into public entertainment. But behind the methods and the chatter, actual falsehoods were unraveling. The tale was far not ended. Mendeecees sat alone in his vehicle for roughly an hour after the recording. His phone was constantly ringing with alerts from producers and messages. He realized his life was coming apart piece by piece as unknown numbers and social media mentions poured in by the second. He read through the comments, each one striking harder than the last. There was nothing he could do to stop it. "You shattered everything. How could you do that to Yandy, another baby SM?" He closed the app, dropped his phone into the passenger seat, and just gazed at the steering wheel, paralyzed in shock. Meanwhile, Yandy had withdrawn to a close friend's home, avoiding calls from everyone, even relatives. She needed space, she wanted stillness. She needed to breathe. The pain was deeper than betrayal was humiliation. She had stuck with him through everything, prizing rumors, public scrutiny, and this was the ultimate blow. She spent next 2 days in hiding, not responding producers and not checking messages for her children were with her, and they were the only reason she hadn't fully lost control. She grinned and toyed with them. They made them feel comfortable, but behind closed doors, she cried over, and Erica, on the other hand, was heading into a new type of pandemonium. While some admirers praised her for stating the truth, others dragged her through the dirt. Strangers arrived up at house wrecker, attention-seeking, and worse, messages. Her job. People phoned her family members. Her address was released online. More than she had thought, and much though she attempted to put on a brave front, the toe was beginning to reveal that she hadn't even delivered her baby yet the infant was already the subject of a media frenzy. The producers of V1, seeing how enormous the story had grown, started pushing for the complete program focused on the fallout behind the scenes video confessionals. Pirated audio, everything was being gathered. They even discussed performing a live reunion spectacular to ride the. However, there was one huge issue. Yandy was not answering. Without Yandy, the tale had no end. She was the core of the narrative, and her silence was stronger than any interview. The urge to get her back on camera became enormous. Mona Scott herself contacted out, leaving a message that read, "You don't have to say anything you're not ready to say, but the fans need to hear from you, even if it is only for 5 minutes." Close the chapter. Yandy listened to the message and erased it without responding. She wasn't ready, but not when every move she made would be analyzed by millions. Was still trying to figure out if her relationship had ever been true. Back in the city, Mims attempted calling out to both ladies. He wrote lengthy messages to Yandy apologizing and asking for another. Despite describing how afraid and overwhelmed he'd been, he pledged to take responsibility for the baby. There for Erica, but never crossed the line again. He informed Yandy she was his world and what they had couldn't be. The messages were removed, but they remained unread. He tried contacting directly to voicemail. He even showed up outside her friend's home once, but the door never opened. She needed time, and he had respect that, even if it was hurting him inside. He also attempted to make things up with Erica, but those didn't go well either. She was unhappy because he hadn't defended her more, openly outraged that he was now attempting to appear like the victim, angry that she had to bear the weight of public embarrassment while he got to escape behind vague explanations. "You made this mess," she said. In a furious phone chat, they said, "You wanted to live like a king juggling two lives, and now that it's all blowing apart, acting surprised. Nah, you can't play confused now." The call concluded with Erica blocked his phone number. She didn't care about the cameras, the program, or the headlines. All she cared about protecting her peace and her kid. She knew that once the baby came, everything would change again, and she wasn't going to allow the same guy who had ghosted her during her pregnancy come in and pretend to be a hero unless he earned it. As the days passed, fresh rumors, some said Mendeecees had been photographed with a mysterious lady at an Atlanta bar, while others stated Yandy had moved into a new apartment and was already speaking with a divorce lawyer. Erica's name was brought into fresh controversy, with websites suggesting she had a secret partner all along and the kid may not be Minx after all. Was proven, but it did not matter in the realm of reality. T perspective was everything, and this storyline was growing into something nobody could control. A couple producers suggested the concept of shooting sequences individually, with all three of them attempting to put together the tale without pushing them. Minx agreed in the same room. Erica cautiously answered yes, but Yandy did not react. Just when everyone believed she was done for good, she uploaded a single blank screen on her Instagram story with the words, "Sometimes quiet is strength, but I will speak shortly." The internet went wild. Blogs reprinted it within minutes, and fans filled the comments with support and interest. Even the official VA1 page, I retweeted it with the message, "We're listening, Queen." A week later, she showed up at the studio with no cameras. Announcement was just her strolling in with her squad. She wanted an uncensored confessional. No producers, no audience, just her and the camera. She agreed quickly, sat down, took a big breath, and began to talk. Her voice was low, calm, and forceful, and she did not hold back while discussing the treachery. She complained of being wary of struggling for the agony and restless nights. A guy who didn't know how to fight for her. Tired of being the strong one, of pretending everything was normal. "I gave him everything," she continued, her tears welling up. "I made a life with him, stood by him when everyone said I shouldn't. And now I'm left cleaning up the pieces of something I didn't shatter." She stopped until he took a deep breath and said, "But I'm not bitter, I'm not furious, I'm simply done." The confessional closed with her expressing she will always do what's best for her children. Right now, it meant protecting her peace, no matter what it looked like. It was raw and authentic. When it aired, it shattered the internet. Millions of people watched, sobbed, and applauded. The narrative had switched once again from scandal to strength. While some supporters still wanted Minx and Yandy to reunite, the majority thought that Erica deserved more. Remained quiet throughout that period, with no fresh postings or utterances. She was focused on getting through the latter weeks of her pregnancy, resolved not to let the cacophony drown her out. Minx watched Yandy's confessions alone in his apartment. He didn't say a thing, only gazed at the television with tears in his eyes, the weight of his deeds tumbling down all at once. He had shattered something that could never be repaired. He had destroyed trust, took years to create, and now he had to live with that fact. The public could someday forgive him. The network might twist it into atonement. But deep down, he knew he had lost the one thing he believed he could always rely on. And while the city hummed with response videos, pink pieces, and trending hashtags, the three of them found themselves on different roads, linked by scandal but divided by agony. The infant would be born into chaos, but maybe also into clarity. Because what had begun as a secret had evolved into a reckoning, and the narrative still wasn't ended. In weeks, and while the media frenzy had begun to die down, the real-life ramifications were only intensifying. Yandy had formally moved out of the shared house and opted for a smaller, more private place in a gated neighborhood where paparazzi couldn't contact her easily. She kept her circle tight, restricting who could visit and who knew her whereabouts. For the first time in years, she chose herself without doubt. The interview requests and sponsorship opportunities came coming in, but she denied the most of them. Her emphasis was on recuperating. Meanwhile, Mendeecees found himself sinking into a spiral. Yandy had gone, and Erica remained quiet, leaving him alone with his thoughts and the guilt. He attempted to hurl himself into work, coming up for meetings like he still had control, but his thoughts roamed continually throughout every studio session, function, and night at home. He felt hollow. He missed his children and the warmth of family meals like Yandy used to check in on him with just a glance. Even though he knew he had caused this, part of him still didn't understand how. Erica was reaching the end of her pregnancy, and her body was fatigued. Her intellect was sharper than ever, and she spent long hours writing to process. Despite the fact that her baby shower had been postponed owing to the pandemonium, a couple of her friends came over to throw her a nice little party. No cameras, no fuss, just love. She grinned. She experienced more tranquility that day than she had in months, yet there remained a lingering weight. What sort of environment was she putting her kid into, and what kind of father would Mendeecees be when the baby finally arrived? A healthy newborn girl with a full head of hair, Erica felt a combination of delight and anxiety. She pulled her kid close and grieved softly, not for pain, but for all she had been holding within. She sent Mendeecees a quick message saying, "She's here safe and well." He answered. He immediately asked to see the baby and offered to come to the hospital. But Erica said no. No, not just now. She wrote, "She deserves peace and I deserve peace. We'll figure out the rest later." He didn't press for once. He listened. The news of the birth leaked only a day later, due to a nurse who recognized Erica and informed a local blogger. Headlines flared once again. Mendeecees' new daughter comes amid family dysfunction. Erica delivers birth, and Yandy remains quiet on social media. The timing could not have been terrible. Yandy had just begun opening up again, attempting to go forward cautiously. And now this, she didn't comment to the news publicly, but close sources say she broke down when she saw the baby's picture online. It wasn't because she was envious, but because it made everything so definitive. Producers have sought out once again, hoping for a special episode recording the baby's debut in the following chapter. Erica refused flatly, and Yandy did not even respond. Only Mendeecees agreed, turning up for a solo shot where he spoke about being a parent again and how he wanted to do things right now. Time how he was learning from his errors. Contradictions, he spoke about progress. Yet the critics online were quick to point out he hadn't done anything to prove it. It was all just words again. The network started to swing. They saw a chance to alter the narrative toward atonement and co-parenting, portraying Men as a guy attempting to put his family back together. They offered a miniseries and even explored the concept of therapy-centered spin-off, but Yandy wanted no part of it. For her, the cameras had already taken too much. She didn't want mending to become a show. She wanted genuine serenity. She wanted her children to grow up away from the commotion, yet she couldn't totally escape the show. I followed her everywhere, both online and in real life, whenever she walked out. Phones went up every time she made comments, and some people begged her to forgive them. Others congratulated her for going away, but everything kept tugging her back into a tale she was attempting to end. Even her children began asking questions. Why don't we live with Daddy anymore? Why are people talking about us? She tried her best to shield them, but it was evident that the harm was no longer limited to her and Mendeecees. It had spread to everyone. Mendeecees attempted reaching out again after the kid was delivered. He even hand-delivered a letter to Yandy's new address. He acknowledged everything, but he only begged for one thing. "Let me, Yandy, read the letter alone to show you that I can be better, not for us, but for our children." She sobbed again in her chamber, this time out of tiredness rather than pain. She was weary of constantly having to determine what would happen next. Weeks passed, the media frenzy decreased, and anew after the controversy took over the news, fans moved on, but behind closed doors, 3 of them were still struggling with the aftermath. Erica concentrated on her daughter's decision to raise her in peace. Away from the limelight, she pondered going out of state and starting again someplace where no one recognized her name. Yandy returned to her charitable work, helping young girls discover their voice, a purpose that seemed more personal than ever before. And Mendeecees began going to treatment. Real therapy, no cameras, no crew, just him, a chair, and the weight of his decisions over time. Yandy permitted males to visit the children for short periods of time, but only under monitoring. Erica let him to see the baby once, but made it plain she was in control now. They weren't buddies or foes. They were 3 persons, linked by shattered trust and a newborn girl who didn't ask for any of this. And gradually, without anybody hearing, the sounds began to fade. Then suddenly, the one announced a surprise reunion episode. Snippets of ancient recollections, weeping, laughing, even a couple images from the latest confessional videos. Fans were everyone worried whether all 3 would turn there. Would Yandy finally face Mendeecees face to face? Would Erica speak her truth on TV again? The night of the reunion arrived. The studio was crowded. Security was tight. Cameras rolled from every perspective. Mendeecees stepped in, initially wearing a basic black sweatshirt. Erica was apprehensive yet controlled, cradling her kid in front of a small gathering of friends. And eventually, just when everybody believed she wasn't coming, Yandy came onto the platform. The crowd fell quiet, sat down, glanced around, and simply said, "I'm here." Nor for drama, nor for ratings, for closure. And at that point, the tale was no longer about betrayal. It wasn't about scandal. It was about 3 individuals finally confronting the truth. Raw, naked, and unedited, because sometimes the loudest ends come in quiet, and sometimes closure does not seem like forgiveness. It looks like going away stronger than you were. Before the reunion concluded and the lights faded, there was stillness. The road from denial to confrontation has spoken more than any script ever could. From hard text to painful facts, it had been a long, messy, and memorable. Fans who have followed every twist left us with conflicting feelings. Some found